in the top right. On Protoss, scan. And his teammate down here in the bottom right, the Hungarian dragon himself, on Zerg, Sziky. And they're going to be going up against, down here in the bottom left, on Zerg, Gambit. And his ally in the top left from Ukraine, Marwin, on Terran.
All right, Gambit is the Zerg. Gambit, the Korean Zerg player over here in the bottom left. I'm just trying to remind myself, guys. As soon as I see that name in Gambit, I just think about Magic Mike in Deadpool. If you guys remember what he played Gambit. Anyway, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. Deadpool 2. Oh, excuse me, Deadpool versus Wolverine. Great movie, by the way.
Yeah, I really like that movie. It was better than I expected it to be, honestly. And if you guys are into the comics, they've got a pretty hilarious dynamic duo going on where they kind of have a love-hate relationship, sort of. Or it's more like Deadpool loving Wolverine and Wolverine hating Deadpool. But let's get right into the game. I haven't seen a lot of 2v2 on Fighting Spirit in so many years. I'm kind of curious how this is going to pan out. Very short rush distances on Fighting Spirit. A lot shorter than pretty much any other map that we have in the modern map pool. Looks like we've got a quick 2-gate here from Scan in the top right. Very quick pull gas from Sziky as well. He's definitely going to be optimizing for more of a Mutalisk style. Don't expect anything less from him. He's not really one of these Zergs that wants to flood Lings off 2 hatcheries. He wants to kind of play a little bit how Zero was playing and optimize for that layer timing every time, whereas Gambit, taking a hatchery on the ramp, going to be going for a more macro-centric style. We'll probably have to eventually make spores as well. It's a little bit harder if you've got to cover 2 locations with spores with the hatchery on the ramp. And Terran player Marwin going for that bio build right off the bat.
Yeah, this is pretty typical what you'll see in 2v2. The Zerg with the Terran ally trying to hold the ramp, trying to get a sunken colony up here on the ramp as quickly as possible to defend the Zerg Protoss combination. Luckily for him, Protoss is cross map, so it has a bit longer of a rush distance. That makes things a little easier here. But yeah, as for Fighting Spirit, you'll see. Just go to the US West server. Go check out the games. There's still people playing on Fighting Spirit in 2v2 to this day. They've been doing it for 20 years.
Kind of crazy, man. Like this map is so old school to me now. It used to be like the only thing people used to play on, then that's been replaced with things like Polypoid and other maps. But this was one of the old school maps that everyone was playing. It's super imbalanced, by the way. Like Zerg versus Terran is a nightmare on this map because of how quick the rush distances are. But yeah, quick sunken on the ramp here from Gambit. Expect nothing less. It's going to make it impossible to actually contain the Zerg with Zealots as well. Very early move out from the Marines to try and check to see if there's anything containing him. And he sees there's some Lings here from Sziky, kind of stopping him from being able to come out with a few naked Marines early. So he's going to have to wait for a little bit of time. That's what you'll see happen a lot, where you can't actually get out on the map right away. But Scan has identified that this is going to be a very quick 4-minute 20 medic timing, which is pretty much a traditional medic timing off of 1 base if you're going for 2 racks. And he wants to see, get some vision with the eggs, with the Overlord, to see how many Lings are being made by Gambit here to know what he needs to do in response.
You can see a bit of a theme here with the Protoss player adding cannons to the high ground. This is for this bio push that's coming soon. He'll definitely need those cannons on high ground to hold that back. Nothing stronger than bio in the early game. Bio is kind of dominant with medics and stim, even against Lings or as early Zealots. Bio kind of reigns supreme as long as it's tucked together and, you know, potentially combined with other forces of its allies. So with the Lings here, together with the Bio, basically nothing can stop this. You need cannons to hold on against it, because just purely producing Zealots and Lings,
Yeah.
Zealots and Lings are just never going to be able to fight this head to head.
Sometimes at the high level, you'll see a very minimum amount of cannons. They'll try and trade off units ahead of time so they can get away with like 2 instead of 3 cannons or what have you. A bit of a counterattack from Sziky, actually trying to punish the Terran. Has a very low amount of bio forces here. He tries to break through the depot, but not able to do so. Just barely enough DPS to hold on. Going to be relegated to trying to snipe the Overlord before it can get into a detection position for later, but actually does manage to save that Overlord. Gambit having 3 spores online, 1 at the hatchery on the ramp. There's finally that 3rd cannon coming on the ramp now. He's managed to delay making that for quite some time. So Scan is actually quite optimized with his build order. He definitely has quite a high level of knowledge in this game, and that's helped him squeeze out a very quick robo.
Yeah, this is a pretty sneaky play from Sziky, right? He tried to get up here with some Lings, kill 1 Marine, and then slip by into the main. But I think he targeted the wrong Marine, and there was just enough healing factor from that medic to keep the Marine alive there anyway. If he managed to get some Lings into the main, it could have been pretty annoying. You know, kill a couple of more SCVs when we get on top of the Marines as they're popping out, but wasn't quite able to do so. 2 drones were headed up to top left. Where were those drones headed here for Gambit?
I'm not sure if that was a miss rally or he was intending to sunken up his teammate or something. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that was a miss rally. I don't think he meant to send those 2 drones up there. He's going to have to keep adding on spores because of how far behind the tech curve he is. He's going to have to go up to 3 spore in the main and 2 on the ramp, and that's a lot of investment. Actually, Scan hasn't got any leg enhancements on these L's for quite some time, so Marines do force a bit of a bad trade from Scan. Kills 2 of those off. There is a Reaver on the way with cannons on the high ground. He might just barely be okay against this timing, but he kind of needs to rely on Sziky to help him out before this Reaver's ready.
B1 It's is one is sub goes here for 20 months.
Sziky coming in from the flank here, gonna try and dive on top of some of these Marines. As long as he kills the Marines, he should be okay. As long as the Marines are not allowed up this ramp, he should be all right. This 1 cannon hanging on with 10 HP is actually going to be the clincher here, saving him and allowing Sziky to take this fight, killing off all the Marines, and the medics will also go down.
Yeah, this is really well done from Sziky and Scan. Like, they're hanging on by a thread in terms of what they're making to defend this critical junction. Scan trying to be a bit cheeky and take a quick base at the 3 o'clock. It does get scouted by a Zergling. I think he's got a shuttle and a Reaver that is somewhere moving out, maybe towards the center of the map. I'm not sure if that's going all the way cross-map to the Zerg. Yeah, it's going to go cross-map to the Zerg at this rate, with Sziky helping control in the sky. That way he can put pressure onto these spores and slowly open up this position for Sziky to have a field day with the mutas. It's going to be really tough for Gambit to actually defend against this.
Yeah, this is very cheeky, sneaky play here, getting in with the Reaver now. Like, all the setup in the world is not going to save you from this, because the Mutas will defend the Reaver perfectly against Lings, and the Reaver will just eventually take out both of these spore colonies. He's trying to hit both. Looks like he's managed to get the angle on it now to hit both of these spores so that he can open up a angle on that Spire, and he's going to be able to get that Spire here soon. Sziky diving in just to get the ball rolling here so that he can quickly go ahead and take out this Spire. Very good shots here from the Reaver, and excellent defense by Sziky to keep all this Reaver alive during this fight. Nice micro against the Scourge as well, taking some extra damage on the Reaver, but still keeping the Marines back here. Really, really well played by the blue squad. Just keeping that shuttle alive for so long as well. Really good juggling here, and even these mutas are not going to be able to jump on top of that Reaver. Dude, this is such a nice tactical takedown by Scan and Sziky.
This is some really high-level 2v stuff that we're seeing. Like, because they defended with the bare minimal, he was able to squeeze out this tech and get the Reaver at very fast timing that is pretty impossible for Marwin and Gambit to shut that down. And that all just comes down to a really optimized build order and delaying making additional cannons for as long as possible. and defending with the absolute minimum is what we expect at the highest level of 2v2. And that looked like a really convincing win for Sziky and Scan, man. I hope this show match isn't going to be too one-sided, but it looked like it might be.
The classic 10 Mutalisk, 1 Reaver timing. Perfect 2v2. I mean, those are the type of things that if you haven't been playing 2v2 for a really long time, you just never seen that type of timing before, can absolutely just tear you apart. But we're ready to jump into this next one, guys. Game number 2, let's get it.
Spawning here in the top right, the Hungarian Dragon on Zerg, Sziky, and his ally. Cross map in the bottom left on Protoss, the pro gamer Scan. And they're going to be facing off against here in the top left on Terran, Marwin. And his ally in the bottom right on Zerg, Gambit. And the map, Polypoid.
We could be seeing a really similar game here. With a lot of the stuff going the same way. You know, hatchery at the ramp, early sunken defense into, you know, the bio coming out, and cannons on high ground. But if they try to go for that Reaver play again, what would be the counter that we could see from the red team?
The Terran could go 2-port Wraith. That's definitely an option. That could help shut down anything like the Reaver Muta play from Sziky and Scan. I'm not sure if Marwin favors going for tech-based Terran plays, or if he's confident enough with his micro to make that pan out. But there's definitely options here to mix it up. But yeah, I mean, no matter what happens, Scan and Sziky are going to adjust on the fly. Like, Scan mainly went for that build because it was a bio-based play from the Terran. So if Marwin mixes it up this time and opens up with a quick gas, we'll probably be seeing something different. But it does look like it's going to be that bio play yet again.
Yeah, the 2 racks bio play, and once again, hatchery at the ramp. Oh, Scan calling for a goon build here. And so we are going to see a bit of a mix-up from Scan. He still might open the same way, but... Oh, no, he actually throws down the Cybernetics Core immediately. That's interesting. What do you think prompted this?
Yeah, I'm not so sure, honestly. It might just be because he sees one hatch lair, so he knows that there's not going to be enough mass links to punish the fast Dragoons. That would be my interpretation of what we're seeing. Getting the quick scout on the Zerg, seeing that there's no quick second hatchery, might be able to get away with just going straight into Dragoon play if there's not a lot of Zerglings and he's just trying to defend and go for a Spire timing. But that does mean that this allows Sziky to go massling to put on pressure, and the Dragoons will act like siege tanks and gradually whittle away at the Zerg here in the bottom right. He can push creeps to his ramp though. That's going to help out a lot against something like a Dragoon bust timing. So I like this here from Gambit, getting these sunken colonies pushed towards that ramp. It'll make it a lot harder for Scan to punish him later on.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a kind of a misread from Scan, thinking that he wasn't going to be able to push sunken colonies because he didn't have the extra hatchery. But the creep is so close here. I doubt that's the case. He must have another plan for this. Gambit, though, has a very nice position here to go directly into Mutas, and there's no hint of a Mutalist play over here from Sziky. He's going to be relying majority on Lings in this game.
Yeah, he'll have to make spores as well eventually. So it'll be predominantly just pure mass Lingoon, and they're going to choose a target. They don't have to break the Zerg. They could go after the Terran. I mean, Dragoons are pretty good against bio as well. So they can just keep tabs on the Zerg and eventually go for a bust timing. But Dragoons are not so good against Mutalisks, man. So they're going to have to do some damage early with the Lingoon combo to put themselves into an advantageous position going forward, or Gambit's going to have a field day when he finally gets into a big flock of mutas.
This Overlord is key. It's allowing Scan and Sziky to see up on that high ground so that the goons can try to push this down. There's not going to be a range upgrade here immediately for Marwin, so he might end up taking a lot of damage. It's possible that they can push him down here. He hasn't started a bunker just yet, so that could be a bit of a problem. Lots of sunken colonies being made right now in the bottom right here for Gambit. They've actually changed their idea. Gonna go ahead and push in on Gambit, but that's so many sunken. 4 sunken colonies is a lot to deal with. All in. All right, Scan is making the call. They're just gonna go for it.
I think he needs 4 Sunkens because of how many Lings are going to join up with these Dragoons. This is really smart from Gambit to preempt this. And yeah, the Sziky and Scan are pretty all in on breaking the Zerg, but with the 4 Sunkens, going to be super tough to be able to accomplish that. He can also bring some drones to glitch out the ramp if they actually commit to that. They're going to have to abandon that all-in attempt and kind of go back to the drawing board on what they want to do next. And this is going to be really tough, man. I mean, Lingoon is not going to fare so well, not only because of the bio trading reasonably well initially, but the Muta's coming online. He has to kill all of these bio forces off now. It's a bit of an overstep from Marwin to try and come out onto the map this early on before maybe having a fireback to help deal with all those Lings. And a counterattack from Gambit in the main base of Scan, picking away at the probes without many Dragoons to respond to that makes Scan lose a lot of mining time.
Yeah, it's a little bit scary here for Marwin. He's not building a bunker right now, which is a little bit crazy. I think that a bunker would be a great idea. I guess with just 3 racks production and holding the high ground, maybe he can live. Man, a bunker really would have been nice in a situation like this, but he's going to pull the SCVs, and he's got some support from the Mutas, so I guess he's going to hold for now. In fact, both these other 2 Dragoons are going to end up falling, and yeah, this will be a fine hold here for Marwin. It just was a little bit crazy not to build that bunker. He's going to go ahead and get it now, though.
Yeah, you can see like the players take a lot of liberties in high-level 2v2. You'll either see one player defending heavily with static defense, and some players trying to get away with absolutely nothing or the bare minimal. And sometimes you get punished. Sometimes you completely shut down the plan of the other team. This isn't that bad though from Gambit and Marwin. They have thinned out the herd of the Dragoons a little bit, but there's still quite a lot of Dragoons off Scan going to be pushing the ramp here and trying to get a tactical snipe on the 2 depots in the wall. Marwin kind of has to keep unloading that bunker to challenge the ramp. He can't just let these Dragoons kill the depots for free.
Yeah, he can't do that. Then the Lings are going to end up coming up here and surrounding that bunker. So he's going to fight here at the corner where the supply depots meet the bunker. And he's actually taking a really reasonable trade. Like I said before,
oh gosh,
bio is just so powerful on the ground. It's the best early game composition, and GG has to be called here. Gambit and Marwin take game number 2.
Yeah, really high-level stuff that we're seeing. You can see how quickly players are like GGing out of the game when it's not gone their way. Like Sziky and Scan needed to do damage with that Goonling combination, and the Sunkens were too much to handle, and the Terran barely hung on by a thread, so there was just nothing in the game. As you can see, the Mutas kind of reign supreme. Dragoons are just not good enough at dealing with them like we expected. But now we're all tied up in the series. Let's get into this game number 3. Spawning here in the top left on Protoss Scan. And his ally in the top right, the Hungarian Dragon on Zerg Sziky. And they're going to be facing off down here in the bottom right on Terran Marwin. And his ally in the bottom left on Zerg Gambit. Top versus bottom scenario.
Excellent. Some great games so far. You're really getting a sense for what high level 2v2 play looks like in these games. It can be so technical, and once the players really understand how to hold on against everything and what to do in every given situation, the strategic aspect of the game really starts to shine. The 2v2 strategy is so intricate and interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious what players are going to go for now. I feel like you don't want Sziky on Mass Ling. I think he does better if you do get him into a more tech-based play, going for, you know, an early gas straight into mutas, and it does seem like he's doing that this time around. And maybe Scan gonna help let him play. Ooh, and a gas steal from Scan. That's super annoying for Gambit here. He's not only gonna have no access to Ling speed, but also really slows down the tech timings to give a massive advantage for Sziky in their superiority. Let's see what the Terran wants to do. Probably just gonna be a bio-based play. There's that second barracks.
Yeah, just the 2 racks here. Gonna let that gas finish. Wow. All right. He's really cutting off the gas supply for Gambit in this game. It's gonna take him a long time to get rid of that gas and actually get his layer online. And so he's trying to build a hatchery on the ramp here, but a good block actually slowed that down by a lot. So Gambit really being messed with here in the early game by Scan. Can Sziky take advantage?
He's getting a very quick lair because of this. Terran's going to scout it soon. A 2-gate here from Scan, so we can put on a little bit of pressure. And he's saying Ling can go in left. Okay. He's saying that the wall in of the Terran here is not a full wall in. There's a gap for the Lings to get in. I'm not so sure. There's a doodad there. It's hard to say. The barracks is not that wide on the left-hand side. That's why Scan is contemplating maybe that's not Ling tight, because the hitbox of the barracks is actually kind of funky. It's not so extended on the left-hand side, and Ziky's going to see if he can check. I don't think it is a hole. I think it is technically a wall.
Yeah, and there's enough Marines up there that it wouldn't make it worth it for 4 Lings to try and run by anyway. So instead, we're just going to have Lings on the map for map control. And that map control will go to Scan and Sziky for the time being. Oh, one Zealot might end up getting surrounded and killed. No, as the Lings come up to support, we'll just be backing away. Really important to keep a high count of Lings here for Gambit, as he is in kind of a 1v2 situation for the time being.
Yeah, especially until this Sunken finishes. Another thing that Sunken accomplishes, it stops the wall in from being a factor for very long. The Sunken's going to allow him to come out onto the map with the superior count of Lings, and he's kind of forced to do this because of the gas deal. He kind of has to rely on a mass Ling style. And the Sunken finishes up at a reasonable timing, getting a few hits off on that Zealot as well. Scan's identified that it's a 2 racks play, so that's why he's saying 420 medic, because that's going to be the timing of roughly when the medics are popping out of the barracks. Basically like 30 seconds compared to like a 1 racks expand, these timings are. So yeah, really aggressive timings from the Terran, which you kind of need in 2v2. You can't really play economically. You kind of have to play 1 base for quite a long time, but it does mean you have very quick stim and medic timings to push out onto the map with.
And he's going to be pushing out here shortly. So far though, Gambit's been really holding his own with this mass Ling style, just making a ton of Lings, getting into that Ling speed here soon. They're going to have a very strong timing where they can push out on the map and be very aggressive, but can they break one of these bases? I mean, there's 2 cannons over here in the high ground and mutas are on the way. Might be a little bit scary here. Instead, it looks like Marwin going to go over to the Zerg allies base, Gambit's base, and try to defend him from the mutalist timing that's about to head his way.
Yeah, I think Marwin's pretty tight. He's got a medic blocking the gap and a bunker. I don't think they're going to be able to challenge him for at least the time being. Let's see what damage they can do with the Muta-Ling combination now, because Gambit's so far behind the tech curve of the game that Ziky's going to have an absolute field day once he gets up to a high count of mutas. But he also does need to be pretty proactive and aggressive with them. It seems like Marwin has got a small bioforce down here in the bottom left to defend him, but if Sziky gets up to like 6 mutas pretty quickly, he can gradually whittle down this bio ball and maybe overwhelm him before he can establish spores.
Yeah, this is exactly what we talk about with that 2v2 players working together, allowing the Zerg player to tech without adding on a lot of defenses here, like you would usually have to in his ZVZ. He will get the spores a little bit later, but it just bought him that extra bit of time to slip out a few more drones so that it can make this transition a tiny bit smoother and get into those Mutalisks to actually challenge Sziky in the sky.
Yeah, is there drones in the middle of the map right now? What's he got in the middle? Okay, the Zealots. Okay, something slow was moving across the map. I was like, those aren't drones, are they? But he's actually been able to squeeze out a few extra drones rather than rushing up into a higher count of mutas. He's gotten his own economy online instead. Now he's got the delayed 6 mutas, but the bottom of the mineral line is exposed. Does kill one of those mutas early on. That's a big win for Marwin because this mineral line and Spire is completely exposed for the time being. So he's very reliant on these Marines winning the trades against Sziky initially until he can get fully online and established. Armor upgrade on the way for Scan, so his Zealots are even more tanky. They might be thinking about getting in here and punishing the Zerg. For the time being, it's just Sziky trying to harass and kill as many of the drones as possible. Now Gambit down to 13 drones, which is actually behind Sziky. So Sziky going to be ahead on the economy as well as the tech. And there's that Reaver option from Scan being chosen yet again with that support bay being built in the Zerg's ramp area.
Another Reaver play. It worked so well the last time that might as well try it again here. Sziky going to be covering everything in the air, getting rid of the Scourge, fighting back the mutas, pushing away the Lings and Marines, while Scan goes to work with the Reaver there in the main. He's already sent it out. No, he hasn't quite sent it out here just yet. That's actually a muta heading on the vertical axis. That Reaver is going to be popping out soon, though. What does Marwin have to try and help out Gambit in this defense with?
Look how greedy Scan's being as well. He's just throwing down the Nexus in the natural, assuming that the mutas and the shuttle Reaver will do so much damage that there won't be any counterattacks from Marwin to punish that. You can see like these really high level 2v2 players take a lot of liberties because they know they can get away with some greed as long as they're being proactive and aggressive. But Gambit does have a small flock of mutas with some Scourge, seeing if they can hunt down the shuttle, but Scan has taken a very indirect route to keep that safe and away from possible snipes. Mutas can maybe go into the main mineral line and kill quite a lot of probes, though there's hardly any anti-air besides these mutas alone, so it's going to force Sziky to turn around to help his teammate, and it is also going to delay the Reaver from doing anything because he doesn't want to move out without air support from Sziky.
Ooh, this is some really good control from Sziky, tracking down as many mutas as possible, even getting rid of the Scourge as well. And yeah, a lot of these mutas are going to end up dying, which makes it so much harder for Gambit to hold on once the Reaver arrives as well, right? This push is going to be that much stronger.
Yeah, I think this is a nice touch. There is tanks actually out, which might help out a lot, but there's 2 Reavers now inside this shuttle with a lot of bio supporting the ground army of the Terran's tanks. But I mean, with good shuttle micro and the Reavers, they can easily decimate this. There's no speed on these Zealots, of course, but with the Mutalisks in support, they should be able to overrun this Terran position. The Lings of Gambit a little bit off to the side, not able to come in here and help out just yet. Reavers are in a really tough spot to kill as well. But he does pull them back. There's just a little bit too much bio, but a beautiful counter attack from Gambit. Gonna get a snipe on that Nexus of Scan, and the mutas go into the main base to start hunting down probes as well. Scan in a little bit of trouble now, needs to rely on Sziky clearing this up.
Wow, Marwin and Gambit getting aggressive, taking fights in the middle of the map and trading off probes in the main base of Scan. This is looking very good for them. Almost loses the shuttle there. That shuttle is so low, but 2 Reavers end up getting dropped out, and although the tank gets a single shot on the Reaver, it's not going to be able to clear this out. Ooh, Reavers do so well against bioforces that this is going to be easily destroyed. However, Sziky is not helping out in the main base. He's losing so many probes right now.
Yeah, he's down to just 15 probes. He might be down one more as well to 14. He did keep the Nexus alive, though. That Nexus is super low. I'm so surprised it didn't actually die, man. And that's going to be a big win for Scan going forward. It doesn't really matter that he lost that many probes if he can build 2 at a time. Oh, but he gets his shuttle caught out by the Mutalisks of Gambit. That's a dead shuttle. Doesn't save the Reavers. Sziky has total air superiority, but he wasn't escorting the shuttle as it was making its way downtown. This is kind of crazy. This game is really back and forth. You have to wonder if actually Gambit and Marwin are in a really favorable position right now.
Sending in one Muta at a time is so annoying. It really needs to just send some Scourge over to that base and get some good trades, finishing those off. Unfortunately, though, another couple of Mutas fly in, and they're just going to continue to just be super annoying. Okay, here we go. That Nexus finally does go down and pushes Scan back onto one base. It's looking bad for the blue squad, but maybe they can bring it back. Oh man, this attack though is looking so scary. Siege tanks shoving into that natural. Those are some great hits though from the Reaver, splattering a lot of these Marines. Can he hold?
This is crazy, man. I mean, there's enough Mutas to try and pounce on this. Irradiate does come down, though, doing so much splash damage, but he does overrun the bio. He cleans up in conjunction with the Reavers of Scan. He's actually going to hold on to this absolute insanity. Scourge come in to snipe the shuttle, so the Reavers are dead in the water, but they have traded well. And Scan's losing more probes to the Mutalist. Sziky trying to make his way over there to help out. I think Zyky's Mutas have slightly less HP though, so he needs to work in conjunction with these 2 Dragoons to win the trade as well. 2 Dragoons will help him finally fight back this force, but Scan down to just 9 probes now. 8 probes. This is insane.
Man, these Mutalist counterattacks are really winning the game, actually, for the red squad. Getting in there and just poking those little bits of damage have added up to a huge lead, a huge advantage for Team Red. And now with both their naturals online, it's hard to see, hard to imagine Scan Sziky managing to come back in this game now.
Yeah, Terran with an expansion is the most scary thing out of all of these races. So the fact that Marwin's been able to establish that and has mitigated Scan being able to come online, now it's all up to Sziky to do the heavy lifting in this game. And he's getting zoned out by quite a few of the Scourge of Marwin. He has done a lot of damage to the Spore in the natural, so maybe Sziky can overpower this expansion and start to snipe all of these drones and the hatchery as well. He kind of needs to keep the Zerg on the back foot. The Terran's going to be hard enough to deal with, and Scan's going to help him out with what few forces he can muster. He's actually still got 2 Reavers and a shuttle here. The Mutalisk of Sziky can also help defend this. There is an Irradiate that can go down on these Mutalisks, but it goes onto a low HP Muta, but it doesn't matter. Pretty much all of the Mutas are now dead. It's just down to the Bioforce. Can they somehow spread out enough to kill these Reavers and Dragoon? Seems like the answer is they can kill one, maybe the second one, but not before losing pretty much every single bio unit. Technically, the Zerg player is still alive, but he can't make anything. He's got no money. He can't build any Zerglings to clear up these Dragoons. And now there's also going to be more Mutalisks of Sziky showing up. There's a few bio units straggling in to help defend this, but it looks like that Spire is at least going down.
Wow, what a turnaround from Team Blue, getting in there just barely with that Reaver Mutalisk combo once again, proving the efficacy of that unit composition and getting a lot of damage here onto Gambit. Gambit still has quite a few drones. They're all mining here at the natural, but they get pushed away real quick. Marwin only defending the main base right now, and there's almost no tech to speak of. The Spire is gone, so it's pretty much Marwin versus these 2 players until Gambit gets back online.
Yeah, he's got the expansion and Scan's on a low probe count, so there's definitely a chance for him, but Sziky has a whole stack of Mutas, so unless he can get a couple of really good Irradiates on his, there's a pretty good Irradiate targeting the bottom Muta of the pack, but he does manage to split it out. Here comes the Reaver as well to really double down on this assault and split apart the bio count. There is a tank in the backline to help support, but non-stop aggression from Sziky, shutting down the SCVs from building additional turrets to the south side of that CC. They're doing so much with so little right now. Sziky trying to get on top of that tank, needs just one more volley to finish it off. He does get it. He's going to lose pretty much all of his mutas for his effort. Scan going to town on multiple depots at a time, targeting the one in the middle, kills 3 depots, really trying to sandbag Marwin in this game. And this is absolutely insanity because Sziky actually has more drones than Marwin has SCVs right now.
Wow, that's pretty crazy, man. Scan proving to be incredibly good with his Reaver control, his shuttle micro, despite being a Terran player, proving that he is absolutely capable with this unit. Oh! Drops the Reaver, though, unfortunately, in range of that tank, and so the kill goes down. They're not going to get any more damage here in Gambit's base, and so as the dust settles, who actually comes out ahead? More kills in the main base. Mutalisk with 6 kills, actually lowering that probe count once again to just 12. I think it's easier for Gambit to come back from this low drone count than it is for Scan to replenish these probes, though.
Yeah, Sziky needs to stay on top of Marwin and just never let him mine in this natural. The problem is that, you know, Marwin's going to keep cycling out irradiates. The muta splitting has to be perfect. Like every single time he has to split out the irradiated muta. He's having a little bit of a hard time getting rid of that damage. Does take quite a lot. He's got 1-1 upgrades on these air units, has Sziky. We got +2 weapons on the infantry of Marwin here. But he is on a very low count of SCVs, so he's kind of getting by a thread. There is an expansion from Sziky to the 12 o'clock, so if he gets a third gas on, that's going to help him out a lot in this game to try and close it out. Scan is very reliant on Sziky doing the heavy lifting. He's mainly just supporting him with a few Reavers and goons here and there while he's trying to get an expansion and slowly replenish that probe count over time.
He's Scan. No, you're Scan. Okay. Scan not going to go to that main. Oh my gosh, almost flew right into the army there, but he's going to take a pot shot. Nice D-Matrix, but it was a little bit late to block the Reaver shot there. Going to move towards the main base of Marwin. There may be a bit of a gap here in the defenses. Yeah, mutas are going to come in, clear the Marines, and now double Reaver into the main again is pretty dangerous. Nice pull there on one of those irradiated mutas. Second one, not quite as good. Takes a lot of damage from that. Nice pick there on that one science vessel. Needs to back up here a little bit. Let the Reavers do the heavy lifting. In fact, will do so. Dropping the Reavers out again to just mop up all these bio units, man. So difficult to clear this out, but not utilizing the tanks there properly. Loses a tank. Does clear a Reaver, but can he actually get the shuttle? Some sick micro, but does pick off that shuttle. Nicely done there.
This is a seriously sick 2v2. Marwin having a hard time keeping up with the economic curve of this game, and the longer it goes on, Scan's going to finally claw his way back in, and lurkers from Sziky to try and get the kill move here on Marwin. 3 tanks on the high ground is going to be the main line of defense. The natural's going to be blown apart pretty quickly. Luckily, there's a bunker here to thin out the herd of those lurkers. He does try and get a lurker borrowed behind the mineral line, but it was still in range of the bunker. All the tanks have gone down to on the high ground, though. This game is absolute insanity, man. But it does look like the longer we go on, Scan and Sziky are actually coming out on top. Scan's been able to replenish his probe count reasonably. I think he's taking another base as well. This is insane. It's really commendable that Scan and Sziky have turned this game around the way they have. Like, Scan was so close to dying, but he's done so much heavy lifting with these Reavers to claw his way back in. There is going to be a counterattack from Gambit with some Mutalisk in the sky. There's not a lot of anti-air for Scan, so he's having a bit of a field day. There's a counterattack in the bottom left from Sziky with some Lurker Ling to try and punish the Zerg Gambit. With 2 Sunkens here and a tank helping out, I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, this is a good hold, and actually none of these attacks have done very well. The lurker attacks have not panned out well for Sziky, and Scan can't mine at his natural. He's got nothing in the main base to save his probes as well with that cannon falling. Gambit is going to go to town here on those probes, and Scan is once again relegated to just being Reaver, man. He's got a 16 kill Reaver flying around in his shuttle, but that's really all he has to offer. It's up to Sziky to somehow find a way to win this.
He just doesn't have the anti-air to keep dealing with these Mutalisk counterattacks. Gambit has been just on top of it this game, really keeping Scan on the back foot. Another attack from Sziky. This attack might be a lot more successful. That tank is on really low HP. He does get a Ling on top of it, but the 2 Lings of Gambit barely keeping it alive. He's trying to see if he can also punish Scan while this is going on. Tank is doing so much DPS. D-Matrix Marine ready to bust with the bio to that 12 o'clock position. I think he is going to get the kill move, and his +3 weapons are online for these infantry. So the Marines have so much DPS potential, but Scan is having a hard time mining a tool right now. I mean, this is insane. Are Gambit and Marwin actually going to do it? I think they have. Like, this is a crazy back and forth 2v2 game.
Yeah, it was a really nice attempt to come back from Scan and Sziky, but it looks like it's just about over here. It's too bad those Reavers weren't on the defensive for Sziky and keeping some of these bases alive, but instead they're going to tap out. GG is called. Scan and Sziky go down, and Marwin and Gambit grab another win.
Wow, man, this is some of the best 2v2 we've ever seen. Like, it's really high level, these games. Kind of blown away. And it's could end very quickly. I mean, we're on match point now, are we not? Going into our next map, Anaconda.
I think you're correct there. Gambit, Marwin combo proving to be quite deadly. Really got to hand it to Gambit in that last game. Taxing the multitasking of Sziky by just sending in mutas over and over and over again to Scan's main. It was up to Sziky to deal with that anti-air, right?
Yeah. Scan
was all in with Reavers. He was doing the ground duty there with the Reavers, but he needed Sziky to keep up with Gambit and take care of that Mutalisk threat. He just wasn't quite able to match up, and they ended up taking the win there by just holding on to the rapid counterattacks of Sziky and Scan.
Well, very quick player introductions we got here. Spawning in the top left, Gambit on Zerg. His teammate, top right on Terran, Marwin. And they're going to be facing off down here in the bottom right on Protoss, Scan. And his ally in the bottom left, the Hungarian Dragon, Sziky. Yeah, really good attempt for them to try and come back in that last game. Looked really close despite having such a low economy. Bit of a body block with the probe actually delaying the barracks being produced for quite a long time. That's a little bit annoying for Marwin to have to contend with, especially pulling off extra SCVs to deal with the probe. That's really upset his own mining optimization as well as the timing of that barracks going forward. So nice little early game victory here from Scan, trying to really sandbag the Terran in every way he can. He did a gas steal before against Gambit. Now he's slowing down the Terran with just a little bit of probe harass. Going to be paying off going into 2-gate here while the Terran gets set up with his bio. Second barracks on the way.
We'll see if this time Gambit throws down the hatchery at the high ground. It's kind of necessary this time because he can't slow push sunken colonies to the ramp. And once again, we've got 2 gates here, so Scan plus Sziky is going to have a lot of pressure for the Zerg player to deal with in the early game.
Yeah, I mean, old school Zergs did just kind of play one base and go very fast lair. So they might try and do that this game and avoid having to hatch on ramp at all. We'll see if that will be successful. We got Gambit here making a sunken in the main mineral line while rushing into lair. And Sziky going to be more or less doing the same thing on his side of things. Actually getting a second creep pretty early. Maybe wanting to be super safe just in case it's some kind of hyper-aggressive play. But he sees with his Overlord that it's just one hatchery worth of production. Maybe worried about the Zealot follow-up. But it is cross-map Zealots proto-spawn to him. So it takes a lot longer for these Zealots to actually get up here and pressure him, so he's delaying morphing that second creep into a sunk for the time being.
Oh, I don't know if they can come up here and break the Terran player. This is a really nice setup. Like,
Yeah.
I guess you can go after that depot on the right-hand side. Oh, okay. Scan gonna try and contain the Terran player here. Build some cannons at the low ground and just prevent the Terran player from coming down and assisting his teammate. Maybe they build up to a timing where they can just bust the Zerg player and Terran can't really help.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the order of business here, and it's a nice play. Like, you see a lot of contains in 2v2, not every game, but it's a very good option. You'll even sometimes see Terran players containing a Protoss with like 5 bunkers or something insane like that. But look, he's getting a very quick factory to try and compensate. Maybe he could get, you know, a single tank out and try and, like, you know, slowly creep his way out of his base and take those cannons out one at a time. But let's see what will happen on the other side of the map, because now that he's got this contain set up, they can go on to a lot of pressure onto Gambit. He's got the 2 sunken set up, but that's not going to be super strong. He kind of needs a 3rd sunken at least to defend against the follow-up timing of all the Zealots showing.
Yeah, I think he's even going for, what, a 4th sunken colony here? I think that's pretty prudent given the situation. His ally just cannot help him for the time being, and so he's completely on his own. 4 sunken colonies seems reasonable. Even an extra building in the way might be a smart decision here, but he hasn't thrown that down, and so he's just going to try and do what he can with what he's got. He's going to possibly pull the drones here to try and body block. No, not pulling the drones either. Just relying purely on the sunken colony DPS, and it looks like it's going to be enough.
Yeah, it's actually really nice. I mean, it's costly to make those sunkens, but the fact that they traded off quite a few Zealots kind of gives you a return on investment already. So yeah, I think this has gone pretty good for Gambit and Marwin, all things considering. It's kind of crazy because there are some 2v2 situations where you're 1v2 and you literally have to make like, ooh, okay, this is not so good. You kind of needed to kill that other Scourge because now there's going to be too much air superiority from Sziky. I guess he can maybe squeeze out a pair of Scourge afterwards and try and equal this out, but it's not going to go well for him no matter what happens from this point onwards. He needs to make a score.
The Scourge there really kind of clinches it. He can't get any help from his ally. So, I mean, drones are going to fall. Gambit is pretty much doomed right now. It's going to be up to Marwin and his counterattack to make something happen.
Yeah, the siege mode is super quick. Like we expected him to just make 1 single tank to bust out of this contain. I mean, maybe the Terran can turn this around if he can quickly chew through the defensive line of these cannons. But the mutas are looking to see if they can get an angle where they can snipe this tank. Bio has to be super careful how it positions in such a way that it can avoid cannon shots as well as protecting the tank. He's got an SCV repairing it, which is a nice touch. Kills the muta there as well. Pretty well done here from Marwin to keep this tank alive and trade off a few of these mutas.
Yeah, he's doing this without marine range as well, so extra difficult to block these mutas from doing the damage to the tank here. It's pretty much a straight up ZVZ at the moment. Marwin actually, or excuse me, Gambit sends a few Scourge across it. He actually gets a couple of kills here. Sziky needs to be really careful not to be losing these mutas right now because he has a situation where he's got full air superiority with the second gas on the way. So no chance of Gambit stealing that air superiority away from him. But he can kind of keep him down if he just keeps getting good trades with Scourge.
Oh, this could be a really good trade for Sziky and Scan, getting on top of these Marines with the slow Zealots. Muta's in conjunction with that. While the Zealots are tanking most of the damage, he barely survives with enough forces remaining to hold that. I feel like actually the Mutas could have maybe overrun those bio units, but he did have 2 Mutas on low HP and decided to go back home to make sure he's super safe against anything from Gambit, continuously sniping off anything he's making. Sziky's actually supply blocked right now, and he doesn't want to let that to continue to trend, so he kind of needs to come back and start sniping these Scourge from killing his overlords over and over again.
Yeah, he's continuing to kill overlords. I think another one just went down there in the main base. So Sziky is kind of prevented, locked out of building anything for the time being. And he might have to build some sunken colonies here as the army comes across the map. Actually, with this many mutas and the dragoons available, looks like they're going to be able to slow down this push enough, kill off enough of these marines to where this push is not looking so threatening anymore.
Yeah, I think they've done a good job, and now the dragoons have a lot more fighting power now that the bio has kind of been shaved off by a significant amount. Nice little attack here from Gambit, going after the drones, denying some mining time. Eventually the Lings will die, but if he kills a drone or two and denies some mining time, that's nice. Ling in the main base, also forcing Sziky to go back home with all of his mutas so that he can't support Scan out in the field. Gives a bit of breathing room for Marwin to start gaining some ground and pushing it down with this small biomech play. Needs to be super careful though. One misstep and he's going to get gobbled up.
Yeah, here comes dragoons from all angles. Scan and Sziky put together a pretty strong army here to just go after this small group of Terran. In the meanwhile, Gambit is going to try to counterattack. He's going to look to do as much drone damage as he possibly can while the mutas are occupied elsewhere out on the map. Some Scourge pop out though. This is perfect timing for the Scourge from Sziky. Just barely save him from this counter pressure.
Yeah, not bad at all. I mean, Gambit's only on 8 drones, man. So, and the optimization is really terrible. Like, look at how the drones are mining minerals. Like, it's really tough for him to get much economy going. It's actually gonna be hard for him to spend that gas and make Mutalisk. He's trying to squeeze out an extra drone to help out with this issue, but I'm not sure it's going to matter. With the dragoons coming in to snipe that sunken on the south side, he can then kill the lair outside of the range of those other 2 sunken colonies, man. Marwin trying to come out and help as much as possible with another force of biomech making its way across the map. Ziky's got 8 mutas to 4 of Gambit, but now he's got a 5th muta. Some Scourge in the air as well, going to help zone out for Sziky to maintain air superiority. Scan trying to get an angle to come in here and snipe off that tank, and at the very least forcing sieges and keeping the Terran more or less stranded in the center here, while Scan goes to town on this main base of Gambit. But there's just barely enough dragoons from Gambit to start to overpower those dragoons now.
Yeah, he's barely gonna just overpower these, but the spore is super low, so he can just kill the spore. I think he can kill the spore, and then the Zerg player is dead. It's a pretty good plan here from Sziky and Scan. Force the or put the contain down on the Terran player so that it becomes basically a ZVZ in this game, and by getting a couple of connections there, Sziky with the Scourge early basically won the fight immediately, and it's just been them looking for the closer as Gambit just tries to struggle to do little counterattacks here and there, and Marwin tries to get out on the map to make something happen while that's going on. And GG's finally called. These 2 guys tap out, and we're going to a final game.
Nice.
Awesome, guys. We get a game number 5 here in this awesome series.
Super sick series. It's been really back and forth the entire time, and really high level play from all 4 players, man. I'm really I feel blessed to be able to see some craziness like this, because it's rare that you see a high level 2v2 that's also back and forth. Usually it's one team that's clearly better off. Oh my god, we're getting a fellow. This was a really old school 2v2 map back in the day on IC Cup. Kind of happy that we get to see it here today. I mean, there's a lot of maps that I haven't seen in so many years, man. This is going to be fun.
All right, let's hop into it. Let's get it going. Our final game of the night, guys. Here we go.
Spawning here in the top left on Terran, Marwin. And his ally in the top right on Gambit. And they're going to be facing off down here in the bottom right on Protoss Scan. And his teammate in the bottom left on Zerg, Sziky.
One final shout out to Flizzardo for putting on this awesome tournament, and to Zero for observing and organizing here for SLON. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a great 2v2 experience for me. First time casting 2v2 this season.
Yeah.
And just kind of experiencing the incredible high level that you don't really get to see when you just play, random lobbies on Battle.net like I have for years.
Right. Yeah, I think 2v2 is definitely underappreciated, man. My first ever BSL cast was actually a 2v2 alongside Medino. Besides that, haven't got a lot of 2v2 experience from a caster perspective, but yeah, SLON definitely was like a trial by fire. I've learned so much about 2v2 just from watching a few games of this tournament alone. And I'm hoping that we see more events like this. I'm super happy we've got people like Flizzardo keeping the lights on in the StarCraft scene and bringing more great events and tournaments for you guys to enjoy as well. It's like a pretty quick pull gas here from Sziky, optimizing for that fast layer muta timing. A quick bio build as well out of Marwin. He's not going to be mixing it up this time around. And a lot of probe harass actually coming out from Scan, trying to be super annoying to Gambit.
Yeah, and this setup again. This time Gambit putting that spawning pool here at the bottom. We're going to see hatchery down just below. Okay, he's actually going to sunk in towards the ramp. Makes sense here on this map. You've got a little bit of easier time getting Sunkens to defend there.
Yeah, it seems like Scan's going to be cannoning in Sziky on the ramp here. Inversely, he's asking if Sziky plans on taking an expansion. Okay, well, we'll see how they want to navigate this going forward. Some Zerglings making their way to the wall in of Marwin, but that's Ling tight, so I don't think anything is going to happen with this. If it was just one single Marine and he was going into two-port Wraith, you can actually put a lot of damage onto that depot and force a repair, but with 2 or 3 Marines, there's not really much you can do about that. SEV sees that Sziky is optimizing for that lair inspire timing.
It's funny seeing the back and forth here between Scan and Sziky in the chat, but I'm curious about how Marwin and Gambit are communicating, because Gambit is from Korea and Marwin. maybe they just played so many games together. I don't know if they're even in chat and they speak different languages, so they might just be so used to playing 2v2 and know what they should do that they're able to coordinate properly without even talking.
Yeah, I imagine that's actually what is happening. They've just played enough games where they kind of know what they should be doing at any junction. Okay, Zealots get a bit of a run by, and this Sunken doesn't cover the gas or the mineral line very well at all, so these Links have to trade well against these Zealots. Micro's back the low HP Zealot well, so he does trade off quite a lot of Zerglings. I think he'll still be okay, and seems like Scan is going to cannon the expansion of Sziky to allow him to get ahead of the economic curve of this game while rushing into Spire still. That's going to help them out a lot the longer this game goes on, but Scan also will have to start to make cannons on his own ramp to deal with the bio timing of Marwin.
Well, this is pretty annoying. Zealot gets here into the main base now, can go after the gas or just try to hit these drones. More Lings gonna run by as well, so this is pretty frustrating to deal with. Looks like Marwin will be brought up to try and help out, kind of save Gambit in this situation, because the longer he's delayed from mining, the worse it's going to be when it comes to this DVZ.
Yeah, this is a lot of damage. I mean, it's indirect damage, but it's still damage. It's disrupted the mining so much here from Gambit. He's not going to be that strong in his Mutalisk production as a result. And this is just one hatchery production, don't forget. Sziky's going to be going up into double gas, double hatchery production. Gambit could be in a lot of trouble and fall behind the curve too much that he'll end up just being a supporting role for Marwin. This is going to be a much more traditional 2v2 setup where he's just trying to help out Marwin as much as possible, and the Terran's going to have to do a lot of the heavy lifting. Seems like Scan is going to transition into a 3-gate goon from this point onwards.
Guys relying on Sziky for the time being for his air defense, while he's defending the natural of Sziky with his cannons. So Bio Push can't really attack into Sziky, and Mutas can't really attack into Scan here. And so what is the plan? Where are Marwin and Gambit to go at this point? Maybe try to bust open Scan at his ramp. There's only 2 cannons here. There's quite a few Lings, and there's going to be a lot more Bio coming up here in a moment. So he can just kind of try to ram it up the ramp with a bunch of Mutas to tank these cannon shots. Maybe it's possible to win here. But if they don't bust Scan right now, Sziky is going to take off. He's going to be absolutely out of control here in a moment.
Yeah, they kind of have to break Scan to win this game convincingly. They have got quite a lot of forces to do so. Just to he has to probe drill the ramp to have any chance of holding this. Pretty good micro from Sziky, but there's still a little bit too many bio units. He's sniping down some of the probes as well, is Gambit, to try and siphon off as much of the Protoss economy as possible, so that even though the bust won't be successful, they'll slow down Scan ever so slightly. Just 15 probes to the 21 SCVs of Marwin. But Sziky is doing fantastically comparatively to Gambit. Gambit going to try and just pounce on top of that cannon to open up the main mineral line to force Scan to be pinned back with these Dragoons, so he can't come out onto the map with them so much and keep challenging this Bioforce out in the field, so that the Zerg and Terran can work in conjunction a lot easier than Sziky and Scan can, at least for the time being. It's going to be a while before Scan can restabilize and start to move out with those Dragoons, but Sziky has such an air advantage over Gambit that it might not matter.
Yeah, the moment that they take this pressure off of Scan, Sziky can go and just kill Gambit in the air back into space, right? There's no spores. Gambit is kind of all in. Okay, he's actually got 1 spore. He managed to slip that 1 spore out, but you know, that's not really going to matter if there's 11 Mutas coming across the map to actually kill. So they got to keep this pressure on. Otherwise, yeah, like I said, Sziky will go over there and just end this game. Gambit has to... Oh, he's actually going to go for the main. That's kind of a crazy play. There's going to be a ton of Scourge and Mutas out here. Is he going to end up losing everything? He's trying to track down the drones right now, but he's going to run into Scourge and Mutas and potentially lose the majority of this force.
He actually does a pretty good split and gets out of the range of those Mutas, so he doesn't really lose a whole bunch of stuff. So Gambit kind of playing to his namesake and going on these little Gambits to try and slow down Sziky. A lot of lost mining time there, and he gets away with most of the Mutas still living. Maybe if the Bioforce can do well against the Dragoons on the ground, as well as support against the Mutas of Sziky, there's a way of turning this game around. But Sziky working in perfect unison with Scan right now, completely eviscerate that bio count in the center. Gambit has done a good job of building up a decent size of air forces with pretty much the bare minimum. He's got 5 drones on minerals, 3 on gas, which is what you need for constant Muta production off of 1 hatchery. So he's doing a pretty good job of supporting the Terran player, but the Terran is not trading so well against Scan at the moment.
Well, they trade Overlords here, but this is so much worse for Gambit because he just doesn't have money to replace these Overlords at all. He's going to have a very hard time opening up any supply, and in the meanwhile, the Mutalisk war has already been won, I believe, by Sziky. These tanks are doing pretty well. They're actually going to allow the Bioforces to fight the Dragoons a lot better. Like, you can't really dive on the tanks while the Bio are stimmed and hitting your Dragoons.
Right.
And you can't kite the Marines while the tanks are there, you know, shooting from range. So it's very hard to actually fight this with Dragoons, purely with Dragoons, but the Mutalisks are going to be the difference makers here. They're the ones that can spray down a bunch of Marines all at once in the front line, and they can also dive on the tanks in the back line if there's any missteps.
Yeah, it seems like Scan is cutting Dragoon production ever so slightly so that he can squeeze out maybe some more tech buildings as well as a few more probes here. I think he's found a brief window of respite that he doesn't have to keep on too much of his production, and he can now also wrap around and go for a counter attack at the Terra Natural, try and get a cancel on that CC. Oh, I don't think he canceled. He lost all the money for that. That's a big win for Scan. Maybe they can catch all of the Dragoons before they can get away, though. This could be a big win for Marwin if he can kill a lot of these Dragoons off, as well as catch the Mutas of Sziky supporting Gambit with the Marines. Sziky doing a good job of microing back and avoiding disaster, so he actually still trades out pretty well against Gambit there. More Dragoons showing up from Scan to try and keep whittling away at that Bioforce. They've kind of done the main thing, though, of slowing down that Terran expansion. The fact that he didn't cancel it and it just died is going to really hurt him from getting the minerals together to afford a new one.
Yeah, I don't know about that trade either with Gambit forcing the fight versus Sziky. Because Gambit is so much farther behind when it comes to this production, he's kind of playing a supporting role. He needs to actually get really good trades with the mutas and keep as many mutas alive as possible as a nice play. Pick off the forward tank and then come through the back and pick off that tank at the back line as well. And now you can see he cannot engage with this army at all. He cannot engage with these mutalists in the air. He's got to run away from them and try to just support from the skies here with his Scourge, few Scourge and Mutas, and tries to get a connection there, but not quite able to do it. The Bioforce is all but mopped up, and Scan and Sziky are going to take this home.
Yeah, I don't think that Marwin can hold on. He's got a tank and a prayer in his natural expansion. He desperately needs this expansion, but there's no way of securing it. Gambit's got 5 mutas trying to help out. Irradiate goes down to the Mutalist of Sziky, but it's not going to be enough to help deal with the Dragoons. GG is called, and Scan and Sziky with a very convincing closer to this SLON closing show match, man. That was some of the best 2v2 we've seen. I'm really happy with how that series panned out. It was super